Hello, and welcome to another episode of Boundless Body Radio. I'm your host, Casey Ruff, and today we have another amazing guest to introduce you now. Rosette Kalayjian is a returning guest on our show. Be sure to check out her first appearance on episode 322 of Boundless Body Radio. In that episode, she appeared together with her husband, Dr. Tro, who is a board-certified internal medicine and obesity medicine physician and the founder of Dr. Tro's Medical Weight Loss and Direct Primary Care in New York. He is the co-host of the Low Carb MD Podcast, along with his friend and partner, Dr. Brian Lenzkes. And they just recently hosted me on the Low Carb MD Podcast, which was a huge honor. I had a great time on their show. Rosette is the founder and CEO of Rosette's Baked Goods Incorporated. Rosette was born when Rosette wanted to create a healthier home for her family by developing recipes using better and fewer ingredients without the added sugars, grains, and fillers found in their favorite cookies, cakes, and foods. We are also joined by Natalie, or we were going to be joined by Natalie, who is the co-founder and CMO of Rosette's. Natalie had kept a healthy lifestyle for most of her life, but her sweet tooth and gluten sensitivity heavily kicked in postpartum. Unfortunately, Natalie had to step out last minute. She had a bit of an emergency to attend to. At Rosette's, their mission is to empower people to sustain a low carbohydrate, ketogenic lifestyle with versatile baking mixes that can recreate all the foods that people crave. Rosette Kalayjian, what an absolute honor it is to welcome you to Boundless Body Radio.
Thank you, Casey. So nice to see you again.
And everything's good with Natalie. I know she had to step away, and I said it was an emergency. I should probably clarify. It's not like
no, it was fine. Her son, her little one, jammed his finger. It's been a few days, and he needs X-rays. So she's attending to family matters right now. So she could be here. We like to tag team, but hopefully I could manage this alone.
Well, it really ruined my opener because I was going to comment that you've only showed up on our show with somebody else. It's almost like you either need supervision or maybe I'm just like way too intimidated by you and I need somebody to like help like bring it back.
Yes, you're so much fun. No, I'm really excited to actually do this when the opportunity came because I did get to briefly connect with you in Denver earlier in the year. And it's always cool to see people in person, after you've interacted a little bit over the screen. So now it's, after having met you in person, I was like, oh, yay. I feel like I know you better. And I thought it'd be more fun to, connect a little more casually.
Yeah, absolutely. It is totally different. When I rounded the corner of the hallway and saw your booth, I was just so excited to see you guys. Obviously, I've known Dr. Tro for a long time. We got to talk to both of you. And yeah, there is something different to connect actually in person. And those conferences, they're just so powerful. They're so amazing to be in the room with so many people with a similar mission and experiencing what it's like to be on a low carbohydrate diet. The energy vibration is totally different. I've been to a lot of different conferences that are not keto, low carb, whatever, and these are completely different.
That's great because we wrote a blog about it after we attended. So this year was our first conference as we hit low carb Boca in January, and then we did Denver. And there's nothing like the low carb community. It was, like you said, amazing. The energy, the camaraderie. I mean, they politely clash, but it's an amazing place to be, where everyone has the same mission of metabolic health and everyone's just friendly and kind. And it was really nice to be a part of it in person, because I know they have virtual events and you could be a part of it virtually, but to attend one of these things, if people get the opportunity, it is a whole different experience.
Yeah, totally agree. We decided to do this. You and I and Tro and everybody collectively decided to do these conferences. This is what we do instead of going to the beach. This is what we do instead of going to Disneyland. Like, we are on our own dime. We are paying to be there. We could have gone on a different vacation and we choose to be there. And I said this before on the show, and I'll say it again. It will pay you back every single penny that you spend to be there. It is so worth it. Eating a low carbohydrate lifestyle sometimes can be really isolating, which is why I love what you do with Rosette's. You feel like you're kind of the only one doing it. And you go to a conference like that and you realize there is a huge community. We've got a long way to go, but there are a lot of people that are finding health and healing out there. And to just hear some of the stories and meet the people there, it really is life-changing.
No, I totally agree. And for us being there as a vendor. But I definitely got to sit in on some of the talks, which was really awesome for me. But as a vendor, to be able to be there and share what we do and get real-time feedback from the community and hear what everyone's looking for. I mean, people are at so many different stages in, I guess I want to say lifestyle. There were so many beginners, there were so many novices and everything in between. So it's awesome for us who are looking to empower people to live this lifestyle, to start it, to continue it, to enjoy it, to be able to be there and talk to them directly. It was amazing. It's not the same as chatting, like on social media. That in-face interaction was really awesome for us to see what people are looking for, how they want to, things they're looking for to help them sustain the lifestyle, or things that they have found don't work for them. Just those interpersonal conversations. It was great for us to have that.
That's amazing. And so I was going to ask you, and we'll get to Rosette's here in a little bit, but as a vendor, was it worth it for you to go? I mean, your product was cleared out. That table was empty, empty, empty.
You know what? We are still a small business. We are in our 4th year. We still run like a small business. Again, it's me and Natalie behind everything. And it was worth it because we got to be out there and meet everyone in person. We got to share our brand, bring awareness. And when you're a business, you're like, yeah, you want to, grow and you want to make money to support your family, but behind that, we started this with a purpose. And it was, you can get healthy, you can stay healthy, and you could still enjoy sweets. You could enjoy savory foods. You could enjoy foods that aren't really known to be healthy or known to be okayed, I want to say, when you're trying to get metabolically healthy, such as bagels, cookies, pizza crusts. But the recipes that we've formulated and that we've created and want to share with everybody, we found help people, on their metabolic journey. It helps them sustain it. It helps them. I don't want to use the word, like, I'm always cautious to use the word healthy, because what's healthy? But if you're craving that pizza and you're going to crash and you're going to have the real thing, you make a slice, with our mix, you make a pie with our mix. Or if you really have a sweet tooth, you want to have that chocolate chip cookie, keep our mixes in the pantry, grab it, make it. It helps your journey be sustainable. It helps it be enjoyable. You don't feel FOMO, so then you're not hard on yourself. The biggest thing is being hard on yourself because you crave something, you caved in, and then you feel like you have to give up and you don't know how to start again. So we're there as a replacement. We're there to offer you hope and fun, really. Like, we have fun with the products. Baking is an anxiety relief for me. I mean, there's a lot of different facets to why we did why we offer these mixes, and being able to be at the conference to share those reasons. It was definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. We look forward to being back next year. Hopefully, I'm trying to bring Natalie back with me next year.
Nice. So that would be great. That would be great to meet her too. I see the word approachable on your website, and I think that's the best way to describe it. And like I said, really want to spend some time on the product. I do want to talk about an experience that we did have at Low Carb Denver. One thing that's interesting that I observed at Low Carb Denver that I would not observe at other conferences is that in the afternoons, after people have had lunch, people are not crashing. You mentioned people crashing after they eat something bad. Everybody is like good, like they're fine. Everybody has energy. These are long technical presentations sometimes, and they go back to back to back, and like people are paying attention. And the Friday afternoon, your husband, Dr. Tro, spoke, and he had changed his presentation the day before. And I've been begging to get him on. I know he's very, very busy because I want to talk about this experience. So I'm going to ask you, why would your husband change his entire presentation the day before going on stage and making it? His original presentation was going to be about addiction medicine, which I don't know if there's many people more qualified to talk about that than him. But can you tell us a little bit of the backstory of why he changed his presentation?
So the conference was long days for vendors, for speakers, for attendees. So we were I think it was like 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. or later. We were down there. So I wasn't we don't get a lot of time together, me and my husband, me and Dr. Cho, when we're at these conferences. Like we see each other in the hallway, he's passing by. So, and then at night we say goodnight or we're doing the dinner with the groups. But he just, I don't know what to say. Like, I know what to say, but I don't know what to say. It was just the right time, the right audience, the speakers that went before him, the stuff that they said. He felt compelled to speak his truth, to speak the truth, or to drop the mic, what he does best. Like I don't know how best to say is Tro is very passionate about what he does. He wants everyone to know the truth. He wants to share whatever information he learns. He wants people to be it's what Tro does.
Yeah.
It was the right time, the right place. And I remember him telling Jeff, you're going to hate me, for what I'm about to do, but he did it. People loved it. I think it was an amazing speech. But as for any behind the scenes info, I just saw him working on the laptop late night. He's like, I gotta change my topic. And I didn't even ask. I've learned not to ask, I just said, all right, Tro, good night. I went my way. And then the next day, everybody came back and was like, did you know he was going to do that? He just changed the speech. It was so amazing. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I didn't doubt whatever he spoke about was going to be amazing.
Yeah.
He has such an awesome presence on stage, but it was just a opportune time, I guess, post the previous.
Yep. Yeah. And I'll just, we talked about it after it happened. It was either later that afternoon or the next day. And it was kind of interesting to talk. And I'll just share my personal experience.
Yeah.
Lane Norton was invited to the conference, and he was, he's a professor. He does research. Mostly he does like social media stuff. And he spent a lot of time in the past bashing people, including your husband, a lot on the internet. Fine. Not my vibe. I would not spend 1 second of my time trying to make fun of other people and pick apart what they're trying to say out of context. That's his approach. That's fine. He came to the conference. He was invited to the conference, which surprised everybody. He came to the conference, and his presentation was not wrong. I could sit there and listen to what he says and say, like, yeah, you're right. What you're talking about is more like calorie balance and weight control, and it's more just like weight control. And it's like, okay, you could be low fat, you could be low carb, you could to some extent control your weight. Like, I have no argument with that. We also had the presentation from Dr. Ainsfield. I can't remember how you pronounce his name, but he's in charge of Diet Doctor, who's doing, the satiety score and everything. And so the lunch meeting after those presentations in the morning left me in a little bit of like questioning and kind of doubt and all these things. And we reconvene, and the first talk is Chris. I can't believe I forgot his name. Dr. Chris Palmer, author of Brain Energy. He drops a bomb about mental health and serious disorders, and this is going far beyond weight management. And what Tro is saying, mic drop is the best way to say it. The things he was saying, backed by science about low carbohydrate and ketogenic diets, are so far beyond weight control in my book. It was it wasn't a direct response, but it was a response, and the timing was perfect. And I just thought, like, there's the kind of this weight control stuff we can kind of talk about. We can also talk about like reversing diabetes. We can talk about mental disorders and bipolar and schizophrenia and all these other things. It's like it seems to me like a whole nother level. So I really appreciate what he did.
Yeah, no, it was great. That's all I can say. It was great, and it was
That's
in
perfect.
Pro fashion.
It really was.
Yeah. I approve his.
That's fantastic. Well, I was really happy to give him a hug after that. I know what a kind soul he is. If you only saw him on Twitter, you probably wouldn't understand. But both of you guys are just so much love and passion and want to get this message out to other people, to the extent that you guys have both started your own businesses, took pay cuts. Like, this is serious stuff here.
No, definitely. It is definitely something that Tro believes in wholeheartedly. I started this as a passion project to support Tro, and then I noticed the need in the community, and we love what we do. It is truly like to see people thank you for helping them, and the watcher, the viewer might be like, she just makes cookie mixes. What is she talking about? Like, we have families who reach out and say, thank you for offering this so that our child has options. You know, they're type 1 diabetics or they're celiac. We attended a gluten-free festival this past weekend, and most of the participants the attendees were kids. So to get notices like, oh, you're making our kids feel normal in school where they can have these options, or I have this and it suffices my craving. I haven't cheated. I'm still losing weight. Dave Feldman did a study on the CGM with our cookie mix, our chocolate chip cookie mix, and his CGM didn't spike. I mean, his sugars didn't spike. And so it sounds silly, but all of these are important in the long journey. Every little step, to a healthier lifestyle means a lot. And when we get messages, and I know Tro gets a bunch of fan mail too, it fuels the fire, it gives you a little more energy to keep going. But it's quite the journey. It's interesting because you said like he has a different persona on Twitter, and it's not really a different persona. He's just like, this is the truth. This is my truth. This is science. I'm just giving information. I'm sharing information. And he has a no holds bar attitude on there. And so even for me as a spouse, I'm like, what are you doing? Like erase that. I mean, where's the edit function on Twitter? Like, now you got to pay for it. But like, it's hard, but it's all from the heart. He is a good person. He truly, truly cares. And, it does break through. And when you get to, when you're in the community long enough, you kind of realize, you realize that you learn who's in it, to actually help you and not just try to, make a living, I guess.
It's very apparent. If you've been doing this for enough time, it's very apparent who is out there faking it and, trying to get money and sell programs and whatever. And very recently, we interviewed the creator of the app Seed Oil Scout. So he had to remain anonymous, but this is an app that he developed where you can go anywhere in the country and report on different restaurants that serve seed oils or don't like, cook with seed oils. Maybe they cook with butter or olive oil or whatever. It even comes with like a message that is auto formed. That's an email to the restaurant. You can ask them directly, like, hey, what options do you have for me? I'm allergic to seed oils. What's a better option? This dude, like I said, remains anonymous. He this is his weekends and nights. And like, he's doing this out of the goodness of his own heart. You don't have to pay. And I asked him, like, dude, what's your motivation if you're not making any money off of this? And I love the point he made. He was just like, if you have a passion for something, you need to put it out there, and that will be kind of its own reward. I'm definitely paraphrasing what he said, but it feels good to share something that you have, a gift. And yeah, maybe down the road it'll monetize, but I just feel good that I'm helping the people who need it out there. I think that's wonderful.
Exactly. And like, if my simple family, my little kids, and we could benefit from it, then I was thinking, imagine all the other people that can also, Tro was obese, he lost weight, he definitely benefited from it. The rest of us benefited indirectly. We saw the benefits after the fact. My daughter cleared eczema. My migraines went away. But if people consciously see that there are options, there are people who want us to be healthy, want us to succeed, it gives them a little more hope too. They're not alone in this, which is nice.
Well, that's fantastic. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, no, I just want to say with the seed oil thing, I'm going to look up that app, but it's interesting because when we were at the dinner at Low Carb Denver, Benazati has actually a seed oil card. And he carries it around. Did you know about this?
I think he gives them away. I think he prints out a bunch of them and gives them away to people.
So I was like, oh, what is it? So he gave them a card, and he goes, okay. And they had to make him a whole meal separate from everybody else because it had, I don't know what they were using in the food to make for us. But I thought that was clever, So the app, the card, there's a lot of tools out there that are, looking to help everybody succeed in getting healthy and staying healthy.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love Ben Azadi. And yeah, this app developer was saying, like, by sending this email, it actually is way more effective. You'll actually get an answer way more consistently from the owner or manager or somebody. Oftentimes you'll ask the waiter and waitress and they don't know, and they'll ask the cook, and the cooks don't even know what seed oils are. So yeah, it's a really cool tool. And again, it's just an example of somebody sharing their passion with the world. I did want to go into a bit of your story. You shared a little bit with us, but let's hear the full story of how you even found a low carbohydrate diet to begin with, where you're always interested in health. And you and Tro are both first generation Americans. Is that correct?
Yes, we're both first generation Americans. I was always, I mean, I'm petite, as you mentioned.
As we
I'm
tweet back and forth.
Yeah, so I'm petite. I was always active, didn't really have weight issues growing up. I started gaining weight after I got married for the I think it was like 1 year post marriage, and then having kids one by one, the weight never came off. And so I learned about low carb because we grew up with a Mediterranean diet, heavy in the wheats, the bulgur, I mean protein also, but rice, dolma, all these pita breads. But it didn't stick. The weight didn't stick until I was a lot older. And then when Chur went on his weight loss journey, we're supporting him. He's like, we got to get all the junk out of the house, Rosette, clear it out. I was like, but why? You're on a diet, not me, but it's what needed to happen. And so we clear the house of everything. We all canned food that had sugars in it. We got rid of all the ketchups, mustard, whatever condiments that had sugars. We got rid of those, and we just cleaned house. No sugar, no flour. We brought in avocado oil. We brought in more butter and proteins, and it was good. That's how we started. But then I like sweets. I like to have a cookie. I like to have a cake. So I don't like a lot of it, but after a meal, it's like the cap to my day. So I started experimenting with a lot of different recipes, and Troll's birthday was coming up. So I made my first keto cake for him, and it was like a utter failure, but it was edible, but it was a failure. And then I was like, we just I just tried things over and over. And the story is Natalie is a terrible baker. And so I would give her Ziplocs I was tired of baking for everybody. So I would give her Ziplocs of the mix, and I'd be like, okay, 1 egg, half a butter, whatever it is. And she'd go make it. And then we were looking on shelves, and I was perusing baking mixes in the supermarket, and I didn't see much that had almond flour and sweetener. Like I was looking for a sugar-free, grain-free, gluten-free product, and it was one or the other. So it had sweeteners, but then it had wheat. It had almond flour, but then it had cane sugar. So I couldn't find something that we needed for our keto low carb lifestyle. And so then we just developed all of these basic cookie mixes and cake mixes that I think I don't want to use the word essential, because nothing is really cookies and cakes are an essential, but they're the base recipes that we think everybody looks for when they're baking or have a sweet tooth or have a craving. So like peanut butter is a staple. Chocolate chip cookie, we wanted to create one that competed with the Chips Ahoy, because those were my favorite ones. A cake mix, chocolate cake. What else do we have? Coconut macaroon cookie is a favorite. We did that with the intention of with the thought of our grandmother. So our grandmother used to love coconut macaroon cookies, but they're filled with sugar. And unfortunately, she passed away before all of this. But when we were developing it, we're like, oh, we wish we had this so we could offer it to her, because she was also a diabetic, but loved her sweets and never gave up on them. But we were just trying to create fun recipes to make the low carb life more fun and sustainable at the time. So it wasn't a thought of, oh, let's start a business. It was the last thing I ever thought we would do, like I would do. But we did it, and it's been fun. It's been very creative, and getting to work with Natalie, getting to work with just all the new people that we get to meet in the at the conferences and the festivals, and it's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Rattled over there. That was a long stream.
No, it's fantastic. The story about Natalie being terrible at baking and your motive for like helping her with baking is so funny. So when Bethany and I first met, I went over to her apartment. I made her like this lentil vegetable thing, and it, like, back when I was eating lentils and vegetables, and she thought it was amazing. She calls me like 2 or 3 days later. She's like, what's going on with this dish? Like, I tried to recreate this dish and it's not working. I'm like, well, what did you do? And I realized she just dumped all the ingredients in the pot at the same time and pushed boil. Like, it was never like, there's steps, and I didn't have the heart. We were just started dating, so I didn't have the heart to tell her like, oh, there's a process. It's not.
That's cute. You're so polite.
I tried. Yeah, I tried. Yeah, it's a
Better
process.
lentils.
Baking is tough. I used to do sourdough breads as well, and it is.
Oh,
You have to have a gram scale. You have to really pay attention to ingredients. When you were first getting started with the baking, with just the ingredients and the process alone, how long did it take you to kind of establish like how many ingredients you need and like where you're outsourcing things? Was that a
yeah.
challenge?
So it was such a challenge, especially for a small business on a smaller scale. Like everybody wanted to sell us ingredients in bulk. And it was just not something that we were ready to handle at that time. So I remember creating all the recipes. So our classic yellow cake mix, that was one of the first ones like we came up with, but we didn't release right away. But that was a pure almond flour cake mix. And I remember just like having to always every ingredient I needed to change, I had to do it, let's say by half a teaspoon or a fourth cup of flour or whatever it was. But you have to create the entire recipe over each time. So one time I was like, nope, this needs less flour. Take out a fourth cup of flour. So now you're doing a cake. And then it's like, no, it needs a little more baking powder. Let's add half a teaspoon, whatever it was, the measurements. So I made at least 10 cakes before I was comfortable being like, this is the recipe. And at that time, we were still early in the low carb journey. So it wasn't like you're eating too much cake. It was like, at least you're eating keto cake, at least it doesn't have the sugar. But we were sharing it with neighbors and friends, getting taste testers. But with each recipe and just to step back, the cake mix that we have now is not even the original one that we came up with. I tweaked it even more to make it a little more palatable, less almond heavy. So now it's like a coconut flour and almond flour mix. But it was fun playing with it, but it was a lot of baking to get the right recipe. And it's interesting because people think, oh, like just 1-to-1 everything when you're trying to bake keto or low carb, or even when you're using just the sweeteners. But it's so finite with the measurements. So the coconut flour, I learned early on, it's like a fourth cup to 1 cup ratio. So 1 cup of regular flour, you need only a fourth cup of coconut flour. And before I realized that, I was doing a 1-to-1 and it was not fun. You're getting these dense, heavy cakes that are dry because now it needs a lot more liquid, which you don't realize until it bakes. I could talk about baking a lot, but yeah, so it was a fun experiment. It required a lot of taste testing, a lot of tweaking, and it took for the cake, I know it was about 10 times. But the cookies were a little quicker, maybe a handful of times to get to the right recipe. Because once you figure out the concept behind low carb or like how the flours work, it's a lot easier. And what we strive to do with all of our baking mixes is to use as minimal amount of ingredients as possible. So let's say the best one for the pistachio shortbread cookie mix, let's say it's pistachios, almond flour, and a sweetener. So it's only 3 ingredients. And most of the other cookies add a baking powder to it or something, like just something small like that. But we try to keep it very simple, very clean. So when you're also testing out the recipes, at least you're not overwhelmed with, like 10 ingredients. We try to keep it very simple, very clean, and true to flavor to what you expect when you hear chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah. I love that. What are some of the like base kind of flours that you use? Are those the 2 primary ones?
Yeah, those are the 2 primary ones we use. For our protein mix, we use a micellar casein. So that one has no flours in it at all. But yeah, we stick to just those for now. We've been toying around with using other flours like lupini. I think there was another one, but I'm not comfortable with it. And I'm of the mindset, if it works and it tastes good, why am I going to change it? So right now it's almond flour, coconut flour. We have micellar casein. And then some extra ingredients that we play around with are like coconut flakes. We play with psyllium husk, whey protein. So with keto baking, low carb baking, we find that whey protein helps with the texture of the baking mixes. So you get a little more crumbly baked good rather than a wet feel. I guess that's not right. Like just a wet texture.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Do you have any products that are specifically just coconut? For
Yeah.
some people, again, this isn't everybody. This is just some people.
Absolutely.
Everybody's going to
Yes.
ask. I have to
Yes.
ask if they're
Yes.
concerned about oxalate.
Yes.
They can do coconut.
So we have our pancake mix. Pancake and waffles is only coconut, and then we have the coconut macaroon that is only coconut. But the no sugar and the cakes are a combination of coconut and almond. The problem with the coconut is it's very coconutty in flavor. You can't really mask it so if you're making a chocolate chip cookie with coconut flour, it's gonna taste like a coconut chocolate chip cookie. Some people don't mind it, most people do. So we didn't really have a lot of it didn't appease my palate when I was using just coconut flour. And my rule always was that if I don't like it and I won't eat it, I don't feel comfortable making a product and sharing it with people, because then I can't really advocate for it. I can't say how great it tastes when I don't like it, and I'm very bad at lying. Like I'm very bad at, like, you could tell how I feel on my face. You could see it, but we do have we have those two that are just coconut, and then we have some that are also dairy free without the whey protein in it, because that's a lot of questions we got. Do you have any dairy free products? A lot of them you can make dairy free by using butter alternates. You can make vegan if you want to use the flax eggs. There are some of them that have a little bit of the whey protein, but a lot of our customers aren't that sensitive to the dairy. And when they see dairy free, they're just looking to have no butter and no egg, which we don't include really in the product. That's something that, the baker is going to add for themselves. So we have a lot of different, we try to please every palate or every lifestyle, and they could, check it out on our website. Any questions, we have a chat feature that reaches directly to me and Natalie. So we're open to questions all the time.
Yeah, that's great. And when people ask about oxalate, I always have to remind people it's very contextual, and you're talking about something that's going to build up over a long time. So it's one thing if you are throwing spinach and beets and almonds with almond milk in the blender in the morning, and then chasing that with a bunch of sweet potatoes and black beans, and then you have a bunch of almond flour. That is vastly different than the people that are likely to find your product. And in fact, if you get off of oxalate too quickly, if you've had a lot of them, you're going to have terrible dumping systems. And every oxalate expert I've ever talked to says you need to do this gently. You need to be, like Sally Norton says, pretend that there's a baby sleeping in the room and you're backing out. Like every second or third day, you actually need to include some oxalate in your diet so that you don't dump too quickly. And it's likely that the people, again, finding your product are probably somewhere on that spectrum and could benefit from having it in their diet periodically. And plus the quantities that they're eating, we're talking about a cookie or a piece of cake. Like, I don't know what the numbers are for oxalated almond flour. To me, that would not be the hill that I would die on.
Well, and we get a lot of comments about that, oxalates. And I'm like, I get it, but I'm not asking you to gorge on the whole bag. I'm asking, and I'm not even asking you to buy it. If it's a problem for you, it's a problem, then you steer away from it. Or I'm not from a scientific background. I can't say oxalates are bad or good or what they are. Like you said, they are probably individual, depending on the person, and go to your doctor and see how much you should consume. But if you're making a cake and taking it with you for an event, or you're making a tray of cookies, you are not, I mean, I'm very hesitant to say this because Sito would look at me and be like, you're crazy. I eat one or two and I'm done. Yeah. Maybe you can eat more than that, I get it. But, the goal for our products is to sustain the lifestyle, to make it enjoyable. It's not something that you need to be eating every day, or are we asking you to go make this every day? There's other coping mechanisms to food addiction, to going low carb. It's my cookies and cakes are not gonna, save you from that journey, but hopefully it'll get you through it. It'll make it tastier, more pleasurable, put a smile on your face. You won't feel alone. And I mean, there's a problem with everything.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's such a good point. Well, thank you for explaining that. I really love that. While we're talking about ingredients, let's talk about sweeteners. Tell me about the different sweeteners you use. Okay. I get so confused about sweeteners anyway. I don't know which ones are good. Next week they're bad. Like which ones do you use and which ones are your favorites?
Okay, so my favorite is the erythritol and monk fruit combination. I've tried stevia, I've tried xylitol, I've tried erythritol alone. I've tried allulose, which I'll get back to, but our products use the erythritol monk fruit combination. We find that it doesn't leave a bitter taste in your mouth. We find that it has the least cooling effect, at least in the quantities that we use. We try to use very minimal, as little as we need to give you that little sweet palate where it tastes like a cake or a cookie. And I know there's been a lot of controversy recently about it, the studies that have come out knocking erythritol. I've been listening to a lot of the commentary from, like, let's say Westman, Tro, who else was it? Maria Emmerich made a comment about it. So there's just a bunch of people on social media that have spoken about it, and everything in moderation. So the studies that I have, after reading the study and the feedback I have heard about the study, hasn't made me want to completely throw everything out and use another sweetener. Have I tried our recipes with another sweetener? Yes. Immediately we started using allulose to test to see how the recipes come out. It doesn't work as well as the erythritol and monk fruit sweetener work for consistency purposes. We are still testing different combinations. We are not just sitting back and being like, oh, it was all a lie. We're waiting for more data to come out, more feedback, more clarity on how bad it is. But the funny thing is, a lot of people come up to us at at festivals or farmers market, and they're like, we prefer real sugar. This is fake. It's not good. It's not the good kind. Where's the real stuff? And it's over and over. And what I tell them is, look, not everyone has the luxury of consuming real sugar. Like some people can't tolerate it. Some people can't have it. It's not good for them. We're offering an alternative. You don't like it? That's fine. Thank you for sharing your opinion. We don't have real sugar in our products, so for me and my family, the erythritol monk fruit combination has been a lot better than sugar. It's been a lot better than stevia. Mouthfeel, texture-wise, I'm enjoying it better than allulose. We've had a lot of customers tell us that their sugars aren't spiking with that sugar, sweetness blend that we're using, or even in the quantity that we're using it, which is always great to hear, because ultimately a lot of our customer base are celiac, gluten sensitive, or diabetic. So it's nice to hear that what we set out to do is being done, and we are actually helping people. So yeah, that's the sweetener blend that we like to use. Yeah.
Nice. That's great. Well, to me, right off the bat, to me, it's kind of a quantity thing. And I haven't reviewed that study in the last few months. It's been a while, but I wanted to say one of the criticisms of whatever it said was that the quantities they were consuming was super, super high. And again, you're talking about a cookie or a tasty little treat. It's not like a massive amount. Again, that wouldn't be the high hill I would die on. I don't know what farmers markets are like around you. The one in my neighborhood doesn't even have farmers. There's like maybe one or two. And then there's like arts and crafts. And then there's tons of dessert makers, like people looking, where's the real sugar? Like there's 27 tables that I can see right here that they're peddling sugar. Like it's not that hard to find.
Yes, no, thankfully we have a bunch of mini farms that come in, like that sell the goat cheese and the eggs and the raw milk. So we have that, but I always tell them we're placed between the empanada maker and the baker, like the bakery, like of just breads. And then they have all the organic greens, right? Like on the side of us too. So that's like our closest neighbors. And I mean, if you're going to grab that fresh loaf of bread with the pastries and take it home, my table's not for you,
Right.
but we have, but people love it when they see it. They're like, oh, it's gluten-free and sugar-free, which was a big one that we got, which was really nice. People, they're a lot more educated now. And educated might not be aware. Alert. Yeah, aware is a better word. They're more aware of what food does to them, like how it affects them, how they feel, how a lot of people take the bags and they're flipping around and looking at ingredients, which is really nice. to see. They're asking questions, and I welcome that all the time. Like, I'm like, ask me as many questions as you need to feel comfortable with taking my product home. That's why I'm here in person and not just sending you, to the website right now.
Yeah.
It's interesting how it's where's the sugar? I'm like, like you said,
At the other table.
yeah, the other table.
Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere else. But
Uh,
I don't know. It's fun. It's been a fun journey.
that's awesome. Any other
Yeah.
ingredients that you're using for like flavorings? I'm assuming it's just like maybe cinnamon or, cocoa powder. Is it that kind of thing?
Yeah, so cocoa powder, cinnamon, I said the coconut flakes, our newest cracker mix has a little bit of flax meal in it, which I like. Again, it dries out the almond flour. We use psyllium husk, and it's not for the added fiber that we're using that. It's just consistency, the texture. It helps solidify it more. It binds better. I'm trying to think of what else we use. I think those are xanthan gum. Xanthan gum is the another one that we use for binding and a thickening agent. And it's been cool trying to figure out like how the keto baking works. And once you figure out one like recipe, then it's almost I think it's easy to kind of start converting for yourself, because again, it's very minimal ingredients. You're still keeping your baking powders, but you're really switching your flour and your sweetener. And so it's those two that you really have to play with to see what your sweetness sensitivity is too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, I've been playing around on your website. I didn't open all of the different recipes you have there, but you do have a lot of recipes on the website. I want to talk about those, and I wanted to ask. I couldn't tell because I didn't open a ton of them. Are these recipes that people can make at home only with your mix, or are these recipes that people can make at home if they have the ingredients?
So they're with our mix. I'm sure if they have other mixes or they have they're inclined, like they're bakers and they understand how it works, they usually have their own bases that they work with for themselves, and they could just use it as inspiration. But we use our mixes to make the recipes. So it's just a tool for those who tell us that they have no baking bone, they're so intimidated, and they have our mix. So it's a way to get them a little more comfortable to create with it. But I'm sure you could pick up any other product, keto, low carb product. I can't guarantee it's going to come out the same way because I don't know what their recipe is, but it should be fairly I'm going like this. You should be able to swap it out with our mix.
Yeah, gotcha. And you know what? Like when I go to the store to buy ingredients, I'm not buying xanthan gum. You know what I mean? Like it's easier for you to buy things in bulk, combine things, and make it really easy for me to then purchase that product that I know is already balanced. I'm not going to make 10 cakes before I have an ingredient, like a whole recipe, like sorted out the way you did. So I appreciate that it comes in the kit. What are some of your favorite recipes on the website?
No question. I tell everybody the keto rainbow cookies are a favorite. And so we have it broken down on our website by mix. So you could pick which mix you have, and you can see what recipes we have based on that. So the keto rainbow cookies would be under the yellow cake mix. And do you know what they are? Do you know what a Italian rainbow cookie is?
I didn't until you explained it to me last time, but please explain it again. Like around here, we don't have Italian.
I think it's an East Coast thing, and definitely New York and New Jersey thing. It's literally just small, it's thin layers of cake, colored, and it has jelly in between them with almond extract flavor, and then it's topped with chocolate. And they're just like mini tricolor cookies. Maybe tricolor would be something that it'd be listed on or elsewhere, but it's time consuming to make, and it's very simple in the flavor profile, but it just hits the spot. And there's nothing like, we used to go to Italian bakeries, and like they used to be freshly coming out, all of the little cannolis and eclairs and these cookies. And when we went low carb and keto, it's like, how are we ever going to have these foods that we love so much, And so that was one that I created pretty quick that I needed to have. And then what there's other like cultural flavors that we wanted to incorporate and keep. So there's something that we have like a namura cake, and it's usually made with semolina. but it's not low carb. We don't need semolina anymore. So I did it with the yellow cake, and we use the simple syrups to get those flavors. And so people, like especially for the older generation, they're used to those familiar cultural flavors. And it's almost just like a blanket that wraps around them when they have it. It's more about that feeling than what they're actually eating or the memory that it brings to them. And so we try to create some of those flavors too. So they're still getting, those cakes and cookies. Somebody made a tres leches cake with the mix, like it's fun to see, and it's nice to see how it brings comfort, the mix it ups especially brings comfort to people.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. You guys
Yeah.
also do a pizza crust as well, right?
Yes, the pizza
Yeah.
crust is, I think that's a fan favorite. The dough mix is very popular. It's a bagel and pizza mix, or that's what we called it, but you can make babkas, you can make danishes, you can make cinnamon rolls with them. And it's fairly easy. It's almost like a variation of a fathead dough, which when you go keto, I think that's the first thing people Google, how do I make keto bagels? And it's a fathead dough recipe. And we tweak the ones that we tried, because most of them call for cream cheese. We didn't like it with the cream cheese. So we played around with the recipe where we get this nice crunchy texture when we make the pizza crust or the bagel. And lately we've been making it on the grill. So it makes an amazing grilled bread or grilled pizza. And that's, again, something like people are like, oh, we have pizza Fridays with your mix. It's something that they're still keeping their family traditions, but they're doing it in a better way.
Yeah, I love that. What about your most discerning critics, being your kids, people that can kind of tell the difference
Yes.
between, sugar that they might be fed at school, that at a friend's house or whatever.
Oh.
What do they say about the food?
Yeah. So they were our toughest critics, aside from my father. They tasted everything. And I mean, with any palate change, it requires time. We went low carb keto. It took time for them to get on board, with the way we would do dinners. And with the sweets, particularly, I tried to create the chocolate chip cookie mix and the no sugar cookie specifically for their palates, because those were things that they like to eat all the time. And they taste tested, and it took a few weeks to get them used to the sweetener and get them like detox from the sugar, but they love all the cookies. They have the rainbow cookie I was talking about. My daughter requests it for her birthday every year. My son asks for cinnamon rolls once in a while, or lately we've been doing chocolate chip marshmallows with the chocolate chip cookie mix. So it tastes like a s'more, because there's like sugar-free marshmallows out there on the market. And so it's taken time. They don't love all the things I make with it, but there's stuff that they enjoy that they can reach, and they know it doesn't make them feel terrible afterwards. And when we have thankfully our school is in a nut-free zone. It's not a nut-free school. So when they have events, I take our cupcakes or I take our cookies, and everyone loves it. I don't tell them what it is, because I know there's no nut allergies, just disclaimer, but they love it. They eat it. The kids know nothing more, so it's nice to be able to offer sugar-free stuff to the little ones and see that they do enjoy it.
Yeah. I've been obsessed with asking parents these questions lately. Like, I'm noticing more and more where I've been used to saying that, like, oh, it's difficult for children. They're getting sugar everywhere. I am noticing more and more that these kids who are very smart are really, like, at some point willingly choosing to eat in the low carbohydrate type direction for reasons like you just said. Like, your daughter probably doesn't want her eczema to come back, or they probably don't want to feel like crap after they eat. Like, kids know, they're very smart. They can feel like they seem to be, once they're habituated to it, they seem to choose this kind of stuff on their own.
No, I definitely agree. And for us, it's interesting because when we started the low carb life in the home, I think my oldest was 4 years old. So it was the hardest for him because he knew goldfish crackers, he knew donuts and munchkins, like he knew these things. My youngest, because we started the journey when I was pregnant with my youngest, he could sit there and eat cold salmon, cold chicken, a piece of steak. Like I can't do that still, but he can do it. And it's just what he was used to. It's how he grew up. My older one, it took him a little more time to get used to it. He also is a foodie, likes flavor. But he's also old enough now where he knows we've been living this lifestyle for a good 8 years. He's able to logic it out. I know I don't feel well, so it's also giving your kids that education and explaining to them ingredients, explaining to them the processed food, industry, having them watch the documentaries, that are out there with Vinnie Tortorich and everyone, like it's at a certain age, they're able to logic it out. And when you have the information and then you have the actual, I feel this way, personal experience, it's almost a no-brainer. They're going to choose the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I don't see it being as challenging as I've always thought it was. And more and more parents are just telling me like, yeah, they enjoy when their teachers give them good grades and they do well in sports.
Yep.
That kind of thing just kind of keeps them honest and keeps them on it. I do want to just reiterate, we talked about this earlier, but the accessibility and the sustainability. I think this is a really important piece and something we talked about last time. It's something that I forget all the time. I have been obsessed with nutrition and exercise since I started my career in 2007. That was 16 years ago. I am where I am today because I spend literally like every waking hour learning about this stuff, studying this stuff, learning from people like your husband. And so I am where I am, and I forget, I lose touch with how far departed everybody else is in the world. So can you talk about why it's so important to create these types of products and help build bridges to people who are not in the spot that I am in right now?
Well, because exactly like you said, there's so much information out there. There's a lot of conflicting viewpoints. So you send somebody to go do their own study and figure out, is meat bad for you or is sugar bad for you? They're going to come up with so many different answers. They're not going to know where to turn. So but they're asking the right questions. They're in the right platform. And then it's people like us that then show up and we're like, look, however you decide to go, ultimately you're looking to get healthier. You're asking the right questions. You want to get healthier. You're looking for some sort of different path than what you were on. Here is, and again, my customers, they're sweet tooth, they have the sweet tooth. So I'm talking from this perspective, my perspective, but here's the cookie mix, here's the cake mix, here's the pizza mix, whatever it is you're looking for, until you find it, you don't have to feel bad for cheating. And I hate that word, but it's commonly used. You don't have to feel bad from straying. You don't have to feel bad for having that craving. You can eat all the things you want to eat and you don't have to feel bad about it. Just have these different ingredients, have the food you want with the different ingredients, right? Like, it's like you said, you make sourdough bread. There's sourdough bread, there's cinnamon bread, there's olive bread, but it's all bread. So we're giving you the opportunity to sustain your lifestyle, to keep on the journey, however you get there. You want to get healthy. Here are mixes that we've created for you. They're meant to be very simple. They're meant to be they are clean. They're meant to be very easy to use, and they're meant to be fun so that you have the opportunity to sustain your lifestyle. It's I think I got a little, I'm going in a circle right now, but it's just giving people hope that they can get healthy and they don't have to give up everything. There is no fear of FOMO. Like, people were telling me yesterday how I can't go on a diet because I need my pasta. Like, okay, I need my bread. I'm like, well, I eat bread, I eat bread. I make my own bread, but they're like, but that's not bread. I'm like, who says what it is, So it's important to have these mixes that make the journey sustainable. And so when we go to the accessibility thing, we're a small business, we're online. We try to hit up all the conferences. Post-COVID, we're trying to hit up more. We're in the farmers market, trying to bring education, not just, buy our mixes. There are other options out there. You want to get healthy, cut the sugar, cut the carbs, try something different. It's not a easy journey. The accessibility, sustainability part, it hasn't been easy, but once someone's ready to commit to getting healthy, they find the ways, and they try our products with open arms, and then they're like, oh wow, it really wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And I don't mean by like the mixes weren't bad. The journey wasn't as bad. I'm able to sustain it a lot more than I thought I would. Oh, wow, I'm already, like 2 months in. I didn't think I'd get here. So it's nice to see that it gives people hope to, just to get healthy.
Love that. Wow. Yeah, I absolutely love that. You're so well connected to your customers. You must have tons of stories where they wrote to you or talked to you and said that they were able to stay on a lower carb diet more consistently because of your products.
Yes. I mean,
Eh,
the biggest response we get is, thank you for having this for my kids, or thank you for giving me the opportunity to have cake again, or to enjoy pizza. I haven't had pizza in so long, like it gives people that little boost that they need just to continue doing what they're doing, but I can't, like, it's amazing, like, talking to you and being here and being able to share, like, just the stories and like where we've come from. It's been a cool journey, and being able to reach so many people. I mean, we just wish we could reach that much more, we wish we could reach that much more and give people that little bit of hope through through a cookie mix, or through pizza, like, we're here just to, help people, just give
It's
them
cool.
yeah.
It's cool. It's really special. I really love it. What is your plan for the future? Like, are you planning on expanding, hiring more people, or are you pretty happy with the way things are now?
So it's interesting. I got a little bit of advice early on in our journey, and the advice was, stay e-commerce, direct to consumer, as long as you can. And that's where you maintain quality control. That's where you stay connected to your customers. And I love where we are. I would be lying if I said I wouldn't want more growth. I wouldn't want to, end up at a facility who packages thousands of them so that we get it into more homes. Because if I'm there, that means there's more people on the right path.
That's right.
But I love where we are. We have ultimate control, creativity. We try to create new mixes seasonally so that we give people something different, to enjoy and look for. But we're happy with the direct consumer right now, and we like this ability to connect with our customers and hear real-time feedback.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. A business owner around me that I know really well also sells products direct to consumer. And she said, doing things like going on Joe Rogan puts people out of business all the time because you're not ready for like 10x growth overnight or something. You want it to kind of be organic. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, you appeared on our show. So millions and millions and millions of people now are just going to know about Rosette's, and you're going to have orders out the wazoo. So sorry about that part.
On your door.
Totally. Totally. You're going to need a direct line, some flights or something. Well, Rosette, this has been amazing. I've so much loved connecting with you, getting to know you and Tro. Just really special people that I really love, and I can feel how sincere the two of you are and wanting to get this message out. And it's really wonderful and very inspiring. And I love your work, and I love Rosette's. I was able to try to Low Carb Denver, which was fantastic, and it's been really fun to talk about this. I think the biggest takeaway that I'm taking from this is we need to remember that people are drinking buckets of soda and they're eating churros. There's a place that opened up somewhere near me that takes a giant donut without a hole, cuts it in half, puts ice cream in the middle, heats the whole thing up until the ice cream gets a little schmelty, cuts it in half, and then you can add your toppings. So all the chocolate sauces and that's where we are. Like, that's our world. And we anything that we can do to bridge to that and make that a little bit more sustainable so we can improve health, I think, or improve health, excuse me, is so much needed in this world. And so really grateful for you and grateful for your product. Where can people go to find you and connect with you and your work and find your products?
So you could go to rosettesmix.com, and on social media, sorry, there's like a little fire flying around. And on social media, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Rosette's Mix. And you could always email us, reach us through a little chat box on our website. And we really do look forward to connecting with you and hearing any questions or comments you guys have. And Casey, it's so awesome to always connect with you. Thank you for sharing your platform and chatting with me.
Absolutely. It was a joy. One-on-one. We did it. It was okay.
Yes, we did it. Thank you. High five.
High five. Not bad at all. Wishing Natalie the best with her situation. Unfortunately, couldn't talk to her, but had a great time speaking with you. Thank you so very much. Very much look forward to seeing you again in the future at another conference. Keep up the great work. And thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy life to be here on our show. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Casey. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Absolutely. Yeah, you too. And this has been another episode of Boundless Body Radio.